Good morning. This engineer Suraj Singh. "22nd, I think. 21st. Yes. 21st March 2021. Sunday. Good morning. Back to you regarding quality. Of course, with different pattern because today my laptop is not available. So I'm talking to you regarding same issue. Title being Civil Field Engineering Designs, Construction Methods, Contracts, and Access, etc. What quality is main issue, and it is very important issue for everybody. We should respect that because without quality, nothing is going to work. It's very important, as I said, quality, quantity, everything that we should care for. Isn't easy, otherwise it's not difficult as well, but we have to consider this, say. Last time I talked at length about quality, and quantity minus quality is nothing, it's scrap, and if you consider quality and include them in your quantity, I think that's best thing we can do, and we can understand that one. That's very nice, you can say. It's really very nice if you consider that way. Quality and quantity on the lot. It's an important point we have to think of, and we have to apply in this age, because we have to think ourselves first, and then we have to understand. If you don't give quality, this means you are not professional, and if quality means you serve, it is service or it's just to make money, there is consideration about that. Service and money both are very important part of life. If we can't provide quality, this means we cheat ourselves. Buildings or no building, to show you that is turnkey projects. You can say turnkey projects, which is very important one for everybody to know. Contracts, buildings, contracts and buildings. In this, there is a lot. Of course, it's a long document, and we have to report many chapters. This building plans, like there is item like concreting of RCC walls of some building. That you can say it's like a long statement. Then you can say also, you can make the statement one, that is two. No, that is what I say. Just a minute, please. Let me see number. Construction of main substation there is, and then there is also, in this case, you can say another one, which is, I'm just browsing to show you construction of floor slab in some building, and then same way it goes to mortar for block work. Like this, there are so many basin, seawater basin, baffle walls, and it is minor concrete repairs. These are certain kinds of water tightness is very important. It was according to PS 8007, very important one. Water tightment, then has complete procedure of that. And of course, this is another one, and that is administration building, stair landing extension. When something was existing, but we extended that one. Then minor concrete repairs a kicker face, and then we have to go to further for what I say, administration building, ceramic tiles flooring, And of course then, I'm just trying to give a background means what we're talking about. Administration building, plastering and rendering. And of course, we have to see building roofing system, and yet administration building marble flooring. Name of building is not important here, but items are important. Name can be anything. Ceramic wall tiles fixing, activity based these method statements, and of course external concrete protection. And then we can say we can say move like that, and you can go into another world of method statements. Above ground concrete protection, and the administration GRC panel fixing. These are a few. I'm not saying. I just try to give you painting of building. Same way you can say then long statement it looks. Of course, it is long statement. Then gypsum. Okay, this is gypsum wall paint. Very long statement it is because contains all items. We just covered half. You can see nearly half. And coating on concrete structures. And of course, concrete protection of seawater basin. Like that, it contains surge basin, joint seal, and painting substations. Painting is also a long one. You can say it's completely structure of painting is given. Then you may say timber doors fixing. Of course, timber doors are not very excavation for underground water tank. Epoxy flooring, vinyl wall covering, and drywall lining, and of course rubber flooring, then suspended ceilings, and we have to go to further and we'll find concrete floor screeds repair. I think maybe a few more. This for information. Vinyl flooring buildings, I think again. Then see, this is a ceramic tile flooring system. And then we have to see concrete placement, repair to floor screed levels. Some specific, these are not actually a very pointed one. Resin injection to leaking joints. I think we are reaching somewhere. Treatment to moved expansion joints, means some joints moved, means some work happened which is not perfect. Testing fresh concrete on site. And screed for vinyl and epoxy floor finishes. Epoxy skirting in whatever buildings. Then epoxy skirting and dry lining. Some minor statements. You may not find sequence actually. Repair to lift cladding panel. Okay. Then fixing sheeting panels, wall and roof cladding. Then closing structural gap on roof, wall and base. is, you can say, seawater basin concrete. I think that maybe this last one probably. In this case, in this chapter, I'm not talking all. So this is what I'm talking about. I just give a reference of what I want to discuss about this issue, and also let's consider means it is world of method statements, and also this is, you can say, contracts, which is a kind of standard arrangement for, you can say, contract which is turnkey projects I'm talking. And this is of course document from standard body. It's not mine, but we have to just understand where do we stand. These are certain circuits, certain key plans regarding means what we have to do, like typical sequence of principal events during contracts for EPC or turnkey projects, and also this is payment events envisaged in clause whatever it is number, then disputes events envisaged. This is certain schemes are given on this. We have already discussed in last videos, but I'm just trying to give you what is actually. There are certain conditions, general conditions in every contract, and this is EPC, and it is of course there are general provisions, and then there is employer regarding general provisions. Then this regarding employer, what employer conditions could be, and then there are employers administration, and of course contractor. Then it goes to designs, staff and labor, plant material and workmanship, commencement delays and suspension, tests on completion, employers taking over, you can say, and defects after taking over, then tests after completion, variations and adjustments, contract price and payment, and then this is termination by employer, and suspension and termination by contractor, care of works and indemnities, exceptional events, insurance, employers and contractors' claims and disputes. This you can say, when you do a contract, of course, you have to sequence everything. And in this case, we are taking, for example, general, first of all, complete general provisions we are taking, in which we can say, then general means this is, you can say, start. Then who is giving contract? This is employer is giving contract. So we say employer. To whom is giving contract? We are talking of employers here, and then it's giving contract to contractor. So it is contractor. And of course, then it's based on some work of designs. We got the APC, so designer is involved. So this is a design, but this, and then workers, of course, we can say staff and what laborers. So personal, we can say some part, and then resource, personal is a resource, like plant materials and workmanship, also resource. And then we have to about contract means when it commences, delays and suspensions, then completion test, then employers how shall take over, and defects, of course. Then after completion, what happens? What about the finances? You can say variations, contract price, all related to contract. Then there is a dispute, you can say termination by employer, or suspensions. Stage which it covers. It's really there are so many clauses in this, which are, if you go into details of this, we can understand what is definition means. What are definitions that we have to see? What are their interpretations, notices, and other communications like this? For example, this is definition, interpretation, notices, and other communications, law and language, priority of documents, contract agreement, assignment, care and supply of documents, employers' use of contractors' documents, and contractors' use of employers' document, confidentiality, compliance with laws, joint and several liabilities, limitation of liability, and contract termination. These are covered in German general provisions. Then employer, what actually employer is, employer's right of access to site, assistance, employer's personal and other contractors, employer's financial arrangements, site data and items of reference, employer's applied materials and employer's equipment, employer's administration, like this everything. This is covered in this document, which of course will take time to go through. It's not very fast. I'm just referring it to you for time being. We will take up this as well. But currently I'm going through this document, which is building plans. Building plans, which I say we have to take. What do you understand by buildings? Points that. What do we understand by buildings? Do we understand buildings means only buildings which we consider as engineers? No, it's not that. Building is a verb also. Build something. It's a verb as well, and it's noun as well. You can say this is that building, that noun. Like you say, noun is the name of a thing, etc. Name, thing. So you can say build, construct, produce, deliver. All these points are required in engineering, in construction. We have to understand these points diligently. It is not that we do it rapidly. Engineering, just like, it's a detailed world. Engineering, genius world, where only thinking pays. Pays means works. It doesn't mean payment. Engineering means a domain to think. And if you cannot think, don't waste your time. Here, thinking is original. It's not thinking on something. You have to think. You must have a clear concept, what you have to do. And what you have to do is based on what is given to you or what you have to plan. And that depends on thinking. It may be original work of design, or it may be design-based construction, or it may be whatever original activity. We have to decide, we have to take up as total world of that. There are so many branches of engineering, everybody knows. Civil engineering, or you can say real engineering, I should say, because I consider, based on my experience, based on my understanding, based on complete analysis of engineering itself, that something that exists everywhere, at least on surface, by human involvement, and that is civil. Engineering, or if you remove civil, it is engineering. Number one, the responsible person that comes to work in development is misled word I can call it, or you can say misvalued, abused value word, we generally call civil engineer, but that is real engineer. That is an engineer that deals with all soils, all other materials that come from soil, and also all those resources which are human and equipment. Human resource is also real resource, to be very frank. Human is natural and original, and that resources cannot be mechanized, that resource is such. You cannot mechanize that resource. Yes, you may say robot, etc., etc. Leave that aside. Machines come from different disciplines. Electronic world comes from different disciplines, but here point is, wherever you go on earth, you will find somewhere involvement of such original engineer. Engineer means, to be very frank, a person who can think and work. Who can think and work. That's why it's called engineer. When we say engine, some technique is involved in that for purpose of operation. And that technique is called engine. This machine, but this is technique as well, because without technique, machine cannot work. So that is technique, that is, you can say, good, or that is a machine, whatever is that, it gives you some product, some service. So engineering in you can say D-level world, in traceable or in transactable world, is product delivery. But here we do not deliver to some person, somewhere we deliver only where do we work. That's the only difference. If you want some home delivery, that boy comes and delivers to you. But here delivery is not made to person, delivery is made to where we work. This means where is site, where is location. This delivery is different kind, importable, means it can't be ported. It has to be there. In fact, if it is not precast or pre-stressed or prefabricated, if it's cast sensitive, you have to do that. So I am giving you all this background due to certain reason of product and product quality. Our products are not like machines. Our products are not. In fact, I am calling it product because it is product based on production, but it is something very different. When we say we use original materials, example, we use stone aggregate, we use sand, we use dust, we use cement, we use cementing supporting supplementary cementing materials, we use steel. All these materials are in fact to some extent natural, not fine or refined. These are basic ingredients, basic pieces, you can say exclusions of existing rocks. Rocks give us stone aggregate, rocks give us dust, rocks give us sand, rivers give us sand, and there are so many other references, you can say, after working by many agencies, natural agencies that too, not artificial agencies, like wind, like water, like soil, that give us so much in terms of natural construction ingredients. I'm calling ingredients because particular material, that is concrete, cement concrete, which comprises of many ingredients like coarse aggregates, fine aggregates, cementing material, water. These contain many chemicals as well. These are not like this, you just take it and put it in building. You can't construct like that. Concrete, which is very, very important and significant material for purpose of building world, cannot be considered in isolation. Its origin is earth. No rocks, no aggregates. You can say like that. No rock, no aggregate. Dust or sand, no soil, nothing. This means these are all available for something which engineering converts to usable products. Some people call them raw materials, like aggregates. Aggregate means which have been together, which can live together, connected to each other by some other material, that's called cementing material. So aggregate like stone chips, you may say, coarse aggregate we call them. Coarse aggregate we call them, you can say, then we call them sand or dust, which is fine aggregate. And then we call cement, which is also a product, but is a product of limestone, silica, etc., etc. So these are all naturally available ingredients or materials. How cement, concrete came into being, that's history. I'm not talking of that. I'm talking of use of that. because it's our headache how to use that, how to design that. It's not headache of someone else. It's part of engineering, it's part of science. Engineering and science are interrelated. These cannot be separated. All sciences are involved in engineering. Sciences, including mathematics, physics, chemistry, all. If somebody says, I can't study this, I want to be an engineer. Well, I think it's complete sheer wastage of time. If you consider whole solar system, if you consider universe, you have to say that universe is also a product of engineering. It's a very big statement. We cannot do a building easily on earth, and we are talking of construction of universe. Yes, it's beyond human control. That's why that superpower did it itself, because that superpower did not make human that powerful to construct these planets. Even now, if I imagine being an engineer, that why not to think of to construct one more lithosphere on earth? It's, somebody would say, what's talking of? How can you construct earth? But that's okay, I know I can't construct earth. What I'm trying to say is, these products are extraordinary engineering projects, size-wise, composition-wise, and its surrounding-wise. We have to learn from nature. That is basics. Nature is our teacher. Nature is our resource. Nature is our logical power. Nature is wealth that cannot be transacted into money. That is what it is, and we cannot live without that. God produced that nature for us. We can take it from aesthetical point of view, or from logical point of view, or from engineering point of view. I am talking from engineering point of view, which is, you can say, power of mind point of view, power to think point of view, power to analyze point of view, power to value point of view. You can say whatever you say, it is. We have to consider all factors here. This which we call sometimes in organizational terms knowledge areas. Yes, these are knowledge areas. If you know what is time value, if you know what is cost value, if you know what is quality value, what is risk value, what is, you can say, opportunity value, whatever you can say, understand, everything is used and converted to job value. And that's what we talk of. When we are talking of buildings, we talk of buildings, whatever kind of buildings these be. Building is not, you can say, I speak and it is done. It's not like that. It's complete world. Building. Means we can see building, okay, you think, it's very easy. A mason or a carpenter or a builder can do it. Yes, you are right. They can do it, but what? They don't understand anything. They can just copy and do it. Or conventionally what's being done, what has been done, they can do it. But I'm not talking convince. I may say convention. I'm talking of engineering. I don't call a person who has no knowledge of engineering, that person considers building. It's just, what you know, what you saw or what you see, you do it, copy it. No, that's not engineering. That's copying, you can say. I'm not talking of copying. I'm not talking of doing something which was done before. No. Every building should be unique. Every building. That's what it is. Building is not constructed for sake of construction. Building is constructed for sake of reliability, which people don't understand. Reliability is very significant part of engineering. If your product is not reliable, your product is not accepted. That should be principle behind that. And reliability is not only means you have to use again. This is not reliability. It should be safe, first of all itself, and it should keep others safe, intact. It should serve for what purpose something was designed. That's basic one. And also not serve alone. It should serve for that long duration for which it was planned or expected to. That durability is called long distance. Service means its power to help you, and safe means it should be safe first itself and then it should keep others safe. These are basics only. There are risks involved, money involved, time involved, cost involved, everything is involved. That's reliability, means you can rely on that and that product is building. You cannot take building for granted like other products. Other products are very junior to buildings, structures, very junior to structures. As many times I have said, those products are limited in age and you cannot compare to buildings. Buildings which is, you can say, very long duration. Existence of building is from 50 years to 100 years or from 100 to many years. It depends on how yes, you can consider in design and in whatever number of years, what actual is, that we have to understand. So you cannot compare building to a machine, you cannot compare building to some other product, which life maybe a television like fridge. You cannot consider those products in same group. Building is of course a product, but it's a product of something else. It's a product that serves you for more than your life period, more than your kids' life period, more than their kids' life period. So it may serve you for your 3, 4, 5 generations. And one generation makes it, invests on it, and many generations enjoy that. Machine is not that case. In your life you may buy same machine 20 times, same type of machine with new designs. And you can they can say later on after a couple of years of use, you can discard that or repair that. Building is not like that. Construction is not like that. Construction itself says there's a structure. Construction. Construction means assembly to make something structurized. You can say structurized. When I say structure, it's one part of engineering. When I say other supporting items to that structure, it's another part of engineering or architecture. And that's what I say. Ultimately, I have to come back to quality. Means, how can we define quality? Quality has all levels of definitions, from simplest one to very complex, and quality depends on its requirements. Depends on what actually we need. Quality itself says, you understand me. Quality says, you understand me. Just like some building which is not constructed yet, but we have something in our mind. Then buildings also asks you, try to understand me, try to read me. It's not available, but it requires that you first try to understand me, what I can do for you, how shall I conduct, how shall I behave, and you understand that behavior, that conduct. If you understand that, then you can make me up. Got it? You make me up. And if you can make me up by understanding, I'll serve you much better than if you just keep your eyes closed, mind closed, and make me up. I'll be made that time also, but I won't be that delicate, that powerful, because you did not apply your mind. I am more intelligent than you, but you have to understand me. Because my life is more than your life. I am more stronger than you. You are my author, you are my producer, but I am immense in size if compared to your size. But I will do way you make me. That's what building announces. So building is something that talks to you, that talk in negative terms, I mean to say not audible terms, that talks to you and you have to talk to it. And that is called imaginary communication. In fact, when we think of some designs or some construction or some shape. I want to create this as an architect or as an engineer, particularly an engineer of things. Engineer, when you design something, we keep everything in mind. Means a engineer stands in designs and or as if I'm constructing also. When I think of design, and I think of not just design taught by subjects, but by professors. A design that I think, oh, I am going to construct it also. But maybe I don't construct it, but I can think I can construct it. So what problems I have to face in that construction, and how shall this building conduct whatever design elements I put in? All that can you can say synchronize together. They can coordinate together in that world of mind, in the state of mind. And that's where we have to think of everything. And that's the reason I'm talking of buildings. And buildings means you can say it's something. So in this I can say, this is of course chapter 4, the buildings, no problem, chapter is not an issue here. As that we have to refer to many chapters, we'll do that. But relevant points should be extracted from description. It's to be noted that safety standards vary from organization to organization and company to company and client to client. Just considering of economy on project cannot exclusively be criteria to avoid or reduce safety measures. Consideration of economy is not main factor. A minimum level of safety measures installation should be made a must for a site supervised to ensure that workforce must work safely. Preferable to work with acceptable level of safety rather than loosening lives of workers. Buildings, plants. So let us say a statement type here, which is of course a very important one, and that is as usual I explained before to is concreting of some wall of a building. No problem, it's just an item it is. Forget name written on that. And now format is same, index, scope, documents, definitions, responsibilities, and safety, and then you can say details of safety, then formwork methods, like that, and then it's only one item we are going to discuss in this, and that's where we have to understand ourselves. If we can get into some level of participation and quality must not be limited to an understanding that's built up quality only, not an organization. Quality is something that like your soul it is. If I'm body, living body, and my soul is also a part of my living body. If my soul is not good, it's not strong, it's not having will, well, I can say then I'm not that kind of dynamic, that kind of reliable person, because it is soul that gives me something. And we have to understand that soul, what soul is. That point is really astonishing one. Why soul is more important than physical world. Soul is more important because it is important. Quality, if we consider soul of materials, soul can connect all those materials. We call them process or what. After all, we do not accept this, but when you make some process-based building or process-based materials or machine, there should be some power controlling it, or some theory controlling it, some philosophy controlling it. I consider that part of soul of that. People say the building is dead, it not works, it doesn't work. I don't agree. Building cannot be dead, just like a machine works, a car works, automobile works. Building also works. Because we see car running, it's working, we see machine working, we call it working. But don't forget that we are all human beings. We have souls and bodies. Time comes when soul leaves this body and we say building is functionless. Building is called dead, inactive. But until the soul lives in, we say, oh, person is living being. Only difference is that something leaves your body and you can't function, and until that something is in your body, you can function in living status. That's what is more important part. So if we compare it like that, soul, if we compare soul with that building or structure, generally RCC is used in structures, reinforced cement concrete, and that structure is built. Of course, other materials are also there like structural steel. But we are more interested in talking about RCC because structural steel is beyond our control. In fact, structural steel to civil engineers delivered. Not only the civil engineer, also to mechanical engineers. Sometimes mechanical engineers are also responsible for structural steel production and its erection. So there something is built already. Civil engineer cannot go beyond that. Means whatever properties are indicated by manufacturer, we have to depend on them. We can only cut and fabricate as a mechanical engineer. Not more that a design can be given by civil engineer or structural engineer for purpose of structural steel, but its production, its rolled sections, its hot roll, cold roll, and particularly hot roll means cannot give that much quality as far as workmanship is concerned, machining is concerned, and strength is concerned. So if you want only strength, in that case, you can say hot roll fine, but cold roll is further process of that, which is a redefined one. But hard work is done on concrete, hard work. Even if you use batching plant, if you use mixing plant, you have to give some input to that work. I'm sorry. Really sorry. So my dear, concrete I consider very dominating material, and everybody understands that. There was time in our life self when I was too young, a kid, that stone masonry was very much used. Brick masonry also was used in different forms. For example, there are so many bonds in brick masonry, and same way so many types of masonry, stone masonry. Of course, those also serve well in structures, but very thick buildings, thick walls. Now, stone masonry, etc., are used for purpose of doing something, is to redefine old times. But modern times require structures that's based on RCC, could be cast in situ or pre-stressed, but concrete is involved. As I said, concrete is not just ingredients. Concrete doesn't mean only a group of ingredients, interlock group. Interlock group means aggregate, then another type of aggregate which filled voids of previous aggregate, and then dust or sand which fills remaining voids, and then you can say cement and water. It's not simply that concrete. This is physical concrete. This is not brain concrete. I'm talking of brain concrete. Concrete then you talk to and redefine, and concrete changes its conduct that way. Concrete means what? We say concrete means something definite, something solid. Concrete is solid. It's like artificial brick, artificial stone. That's concrete because concrete is concrete. After all, it is a stone. Rock is stone. Dust is also part of stone. Dust or sand, you can say. Cement is also limestones and also silica, which is also sand. So in fact, there are so many types of materials involved. All come from rock and go back to rock, and that's concrete rock. You can say, in fact, it is rock. Only transformation from material to material, shape to shape, size to size. That's what concrete is. So concrete is in fact very easy material to be defined that. We use natural rocks, that's it. What is concrete? That is also concrete, available in forms of igneous rocks or sedimentary rocks or metamorphic rocks. That's also concrete. But that concrete is not designed one. That is designed for purpose of earth, for purpose of system. But we are talking something based on analysis. So my dear, what I want to talk to building before building is done. How can you believe it? Yes, we have to talk mentally. We have to imagine building in our minds. There's a building. And we are sitting in that building. We are working on a building. We are thinking of a building. And then we produce that building based on recommendations of codes, based on design requirements, based on what we think we should see, based on the artistic picture in our mind, and based on structural stability requirement on that. That's what it's building about. Concrete is a technology as well as a material, technological based material. This fact cannot be denied. If we deny this fact, we deny ourselves, what we do. Maybe you're saying I'm talking a lot. Yes, talking a lot, not a lot. Talking to explain something. I could not understand that much in my beginning of career. But later on, while understanding, while working on many projects and seeing problems, I realized this just construction is not enough. We have to understand reality of projects. We have to understand reality of projects, not even design or construction, reality of building world. Building which saves us, which keeps us safe for whole life. What do you think about that? Just because it's something which has to work for you 100 years. You can't give time to that one. Think just for 1 year, for 6 months. You can't think. You are only a commercial oriented person. I want to make it and sell it and seek profit. And your target is only profit. That's not my target. My target is engineering. There's a difference between engineering and profit. Profit is commercial. Engineering is not commercial. Engineering is complete technology. It's different world. So we have to engineer building or we have to make building. We have to think, it's engineer building or just to make building. There's a difference. Some people say, I constructed this building. I don't accept this. Construction is something else, which you people don't realize. What is construction? Con plus struct. Con plus struct. Right? Construct. What does it say? Is that there are so many materials, concentration, convergence required for purpose of in sequence or in working status together. So construction itself defines a structure. Construction, struct. And how can we run away from structure? How can building run away from structure? It's not tent. It's not tent at all. It's something different. It's not a curtain. It's something different. It's not brick on stone. It's something different. It's not labor and job. It's something different. What is that different? If we concentrate on that, if we define and redefine that, we would find that what we understand is much below than what we should understand. Engineers know that. Indeed, they know what are materials. what are properties. They know. They use them also. But question is not engineering knowledge. Question is what a person for whom we do it, that person understands that. That person does not understand that. Problem is that. A person who spends money on building, that person really does not understand what is required. That person is only understanding, only interested to know, okay, I shall have this house and that's my destiny. Okay, that's one part of understanding. To enrich that understanding, it is job of engineer to help that person. And that help is engineering service. Engineering service be given, maybe those people who are end users do not know that. But we know that. Should it be only physical mode or it should be quality mode? No engineer can accept something physical mode. No one. No one can accept that if one is real engineer. If you are engineer only for certificate, I am not talking of that. Real engineer means thinking of engineering. Think, I say. You have to think. My building should speak something to me. My building should ask something, me to explain. I have to think of whole structure. I have to think of framed structure. I have to think of framing part. I have to think of slab part, diaphragm part, or thin slab part. Or you can say I have to think of beams and columns. Or I have to think of what? Complete integration or element by element. Of course, it is complete integration because this is one unit. I have to see in various ways, unit-wise or members-wise, and sometimes including everything, including soil as well. It's not easy to understand something sometimes. It's not easy. But we have to do something for that. We have to understand that. That understanding, you may be saying, I just put page here, I'm not going further on this. No problem. We'll go on that, don't worry. If you understand everything, that's first requirement. When we study engineering, we study very basic subjects, well. And they say, okay, this is the first year, in second year they will do this, in third year they will do that, like that goes on. But in fact, those subjects we study commonly in first start, that's our real subjects. Mathematics. If you don't know mathematics, at least civil engineering you can't do, forget others. I don't know brothers. Mechanical, civil, electrical can't do. And civil, not at all you can do. Because civil means calculation engineering. Civil means calculation engineering. Civil means mathematical engineering. Civil means physical engineering. Civil is that. Means whatever missed, you miss in buildings. Designer I'm also talking about. I'm talking about practical work, it's site engineer. I'm talking for both. Both are delivered together. Maybe it's not factually right statement, but both are saleable together. Defects are not accepted in building, everybody says, but some defects are as such you can't even identify, but you accept them. If material is not well made, it's not well produced, it's defect. If there's redundant porosity in concrete, that's defect. If there's redundant permeability of concrete, that's defect. If concrete is not well dense, not compacted properly, it's defect. Concrete is not pure properly, it's defect. This means there are more chances of defects Yes, because we work together on buildings. It's not simply structure we talk of. We talk of buildings, home for people. So what is actually required? Point is that first requirement is engineering involvement. That's requirement. We want to target quality. It's not simply quality control. It's whole system that requires quality. There are guidance, directions, everything, but that's not ultimate. Now in this situation, I would say, try to analyze and understand quality system. And that's based on these method statements. These method statements which I am involved, I want you to involve. These statements are, you can say, roadmap to achieve quality physically, and these statements are in fact quality documents. Frankly speaking, these method statements are quality documents that indicate and tells what you have to do. What you have to do, if you think you are sure of that, then you can write and record and justify as well. Because these statements are not arbitrary. You cannot draw them arbitrary. Because I am saying you do it, no, that's not way. There are proper conventions, there are proper descriptions in scope of work, in codes and requirement everywhere. Limits are defined. To what extent you have to go, that is defined, because it involves money, it involves time, it involves resources, so that's defined. Design and construction are, of course, scope of building. Design and construction, these are major scopes. But design itself is a very important part, first of all. It can be changed many times. It should be perfect, at least in this world when computers are working. Computers work for everybody. But design is design. I don't care for computers until I understand what I have to do. That's an important point. Until I don't understand what soil, below building, foundation, I can't say I know it. Because ultimately it is soil below foundation that gives you strength of building. If no soil, if no good soil, no good strata, you can't do building, or you have to think of other foundations type, raft foundation, pile foundation, and that too are having limitations. So do not ignore design of buildings. People, I don't know why, they believe in contractors and builders more than they should believe in engineers. Unfortunately, in our country, I'm not saying about other countries, in our countries, means engineers are ignored, which means complete engineering is involved, is ignored. If you ignore in a building required engineering, you are wasting your time, your money, and you are risking your people, whoever would stay in those buildings. Buildings are different world. Somebody wrote in some book, continuity of loading or continuity of actions, till these actions reach foundation, reach soil, and assembly of all parts. Remember, we construct buildings stage by stage. Foundation, all foundation works, then we go to grade, and then we go to ground floor, first floor, second floor, like that. But ultimately we make piece by piece. But we don't design piece by piece. Just like God does, whole to part. You know that they are here, how God works. God doesn't work in parts. God works in whole. And if you see whole to part, that's what God does. Whole to part means you start from broadest level and go to narrowest one. Whole to fast. In survey we say better do whole to fast. We call usually the whole to fast. Now whole to part, because we cannot fix in spare parts in structures. It's defined. You provide so many spare parts in this contract, and that is defined. Particularly in those contracts which are, multi-level contract, multi-discipline contract, lump sum based or whatever. In those, this is defined somewhere. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work because financial material, but it impacts our budget or pocket, and that point we have to consider. So let's do something on this talk, and we'll continue. And that is purpose of this method statement is to define procedure that shall be adopted for erection of formwork and placement of structural concrete wall sections. All right, then references are there. Then we know these posts which we have talked many times, like project site manager, construction site manager, construction superintendent, infrastructural superintendent, and site engineer, geotechnical engineer, safety officer, general foreman, quality control surveyor, and personal protective equipment. All these are very common. We have seen the responsibilities of various professionals on project which continues, and this, what shall they do? Like that, everybody explain PSM. If you want to create once more problem, PSM shall ensure that involved activities are carried out in line according to project specifications within specified time and within budget costs, since PSM is responsible contractually for project site prosecution on an overall basis. PSM shall manage to procure all required resources, activities. PSM shall control overall operations, respecting all activities in all respects, being an organization agent. CSM shall arrange resources. CSM shall arrange resources required accordingly and act overall responsible for excavation operation directly reporting to PSM. CS shall control, monitor, and direct SC, GFM, FM, and workforce for relevant activities. G shall ensure that earthwork-related activities are conducted in line according to project specifications and this method statement. SC shall be responsible. SC shall be responsible for all site activities and follow instructions of CS, CM. Whatever mishaps on excavation operations shall immediately be notified to CS and CM by SC for immediate action if required for either as possible remedy or record for authority review, whatsoever case it may be. IS shall ensure that involved activities are carried out in line according to this method statement, as well as complying with all contracts, project specifications. GFM shall be responsible for whole lot of workforce available on site for distribution, extraction of output, redeployment, supervision, and controls. GFM shall ensure that required workforce should be allotted to respective site every day during morning, depending on various activities in which connection, coordination, interactions with site engineers, supervisors, CM, SCS, etc. shall be required continuously. GFM shall also ensure that required equipment are available on site during activities. GFM shall every day report all actions to CM, CS, and engineers. FM shall execute operations deploying workforce and explain in full in language work persons understand about all instructions and toolbox talks every day and ensuring that instructions are followed by workers. QC shall inspect all operations. QC shall inspect all operations required to be effected according to specifications in line to IT requirements. S shall ensure that all surveys are conducted to requirement with all benchmarks and grids coordinates located to requirements as well as all surveys recorded by for submission. ASO shall ensure that all safety requirements are complied with, met by site personnel. EPC contractor shall conduct surveillance over all ongoing activities, all days, as well as ensure that inspections are conducted regularly by engineer. You can understand them. Give me 5 minutes, I'll be back. $120. So you can read the, oh, sorry, it's not that one. By mistake it is done one. So it is 100 and let us say 125. So it is that 18. So just a minute, I'll be back. You can read this. I put some, I'll be back in 5 minutes. Hold on, please, okay? I'll be back, don't worry. I'll be back in this case. How much minutes are left? It's now 1 hour 6 minutes only. So I'll be back meanwhile. You do this. All right. So here, back to you, dear friend, back to you, and starting again. I think we've gone through this. Then we have to see safety general, that is prior to commencement of whatever activity, workforce shall receive a start cut toolbox stocks. That's very common. You may say very common here. Prior to commencement of whatever activity, workforce shall receive a start card toolbox stocks. You know what is start card? Safety task analysis. You can say safety task analysis and risk review technique. Start card, that is safety task analysis risk review technique. Toolbox stock, where we tell all trades workers, all those deal with that, about how to safely use these tools. Process involving a particular safety risk shall be calculated by conducting job hazard assessment and necessary protective measures adapted to address risk issue. Risk issue included measures shall comply with real requirements, standards as accepted or recognized by industry or OSHA, Occupation Safety Health Association. All personnel shall be imparted with regular job analysis, safety lessons or training from time to time, and record maintained. Now, in this case, activity has to be carried out on operating authority area, means sub-control area. Therefore, all regulated precautions should be taken, strictly adhered to affect full safety standards. Only specifically approved mechanical equipment, third-party certified, whilst locating these services shall be used. In this case, activity has to be worked out, has to be carried out in operating areas. Operating authority area, therefore, all regulated precautions shall be strictly adhered to, affect full safety standards. Those are standards issued by that controlling authority or operating authority. Only specifically approved mechanical equipment or third-party certified whilst locating those services shall be used. Safety officer shall ensure that persons being inducted on site are well aware of adopting suitable safety procedures to be implemented on site for activity concerned. All persons available upon site shall wear job required or relevant PPEs issued to them. You know what is PPE, personal protective equipment. Wherever activities pertinent formwork are involved, sustainable supporting system shall be ensured sufficient adequately to transfer safety all imposed loads during preparatory working, pouring concrete, etc. Where activities pertaining to formwork to support suspended slabs or other critical structures that may give rise to safety risk situation shall be required to be certified by a third party, which may be either system vendors, engineer, or other person suitably qualified so to do. All significant formwork designs supported with required stress calculations shall be proposed to engineer for approval prior to installation. Then hoisting of prefabricated formwork sites shall be raised using either tower crane or mobile crane, avoiding manual shifting. Scaffolding systems shall be required to be installed at all locations where works start, in addition to stepped ladders, working platforms, and access ladders. Reinforcing bars shall also be fabricated in yard to an extent possible, which should be raised or shifted to higher locations using cranes, avoiding manual shifting. General principle. To shift as much material as possible using mechanical means should be adopted rather than manual shifting to avoid accidents. During long moving activities, workers shall be allowed rest pauses to drink cold liquids or tea, etc. for refreshing, recharging. Drinking water shall be available on site for consumption by all personnel. Dust storms shall not allow external works of whatever sort. High temperatures conditions shall not allow works in open to sky areas. No material shall be allowed to be shifted, mounted on workers' heads. No material shall be allowed to be shifted, mounted on workers' heads. This is a very important point in our country. It's still going on. Unfortunately, engineers are not concerned, owners are not concerned for humanity. No worker shall be allowed to play with equipment. Quarreling on site shall not be allowed. Shall not be permitted at any cost. Use of mobile phones by workers below foreman supervisor title during working hours shall not be permitted. Site shall not be kept in untidy conditions. By regularly removing all debris, garbage, and unrequired materials. No concrete transit mixer delivering RMC or ready-mix concrete on location, site location shall be allowed to wash out transit mixer at site locations, but to designated areas only. Material shall be stocked on site areas, if so required, in such a way that circulation areas are not adversely impacted or affected. No electrical cables shall be laid exposed, and no domestic fittings be used. A qualified electrician may be on job all hours for look after and maintenance. In case of mishap, accident, it's significant to ensure that victim is immediately imparted first aid and then transported to nearest hospital, medical center as convenient. No untagged scaffolding, ladder, or other access device shall be used. All vehicles shall be parked only within designated locations. Safety zone areas, hard hat, hard hat is actually in this point 32, this joint words. Actually, it's not hard hat, it's hard hat. Safety zones in which we say, in safety zone, you have to wear hard hat. Areas shall be demarcated, smoking zone, designated toilets provided. On facilities, construction projects, facilities when I say means plants or big projects where oil projects or power station or whatever else you can say project that is related to production, industrial production. On facilities and construction projects, emergencies procedures shall be explained to all concerned personnel to resort to action as and when certain site evacuation requirement arises. All personnel shall be transported by suitable vehicles when joining and leaving shifts. First aid box shall be available at all significant locations with known first aid person, and then a competent inspector shall visit included area daily to assess safety measures adopted. Snacks officer during visit to be notified to supervisor present, who immediately would act to bring adopted safety measures to an acceptable standard. Let's have a look on these items. These are very important items because this relates to safety, health and environment, or health, safety, environment. And that's what I'm not going to responsibility. I'm going to, what it says is prior to commencement of whatever activity, workforce shall receive start card, toolbox stocks. So it's a very important item, and some people do not know what is that. Toolbox stocks or start card. Well, I am leaving aside a start card because this is construction, and if you start activity today, you cannot complete it today. Generally, it happens that every activity goes on working for a couple of days, and some activities even for weeks. So it's good for mechanical work or for electrical work, which you say start card, because you have to prescribe this work you have to do and how much you have done, what safety measures you take. That prescribes what I'm talking. Toolbox stocks. Toolbox doesn't mean tools only, it means complete arrangement of working and what precautions as a occupationist or as a tradesperson or as a skilled worker you have to take, you have to undergo. That's what tools use is. Every foreman, every supervisor, every chargeman, every technician who is actually responsible for this work to operate this must understand how best it is to use this safely. Safety is involved here. First requirement is you have to be safe. Second requirement, you have to be efficient. First is that you have to be safe. If worker is not safe, how can worker work in that case efficiently? That can impact body, that can impact part of body. So we have to be very careful that accident is not our objective. Our objective is work and safe work. Our objective is health of a worker should not suffer. Body of a worker should not suffer. Our objective is we should keep our workers safe, healthy, and we should use them properly as human beings. It's not that we just want to use them like machines, no. So toolbox stocks is very important, which involves how to best use these tools professionally and activity-wise so that minimum strain comes to body of user and maximum safety is achieved, and of course optimum production is achieved. How to use, you can say, hammer, how to use claw hammer, how to use, you can say, axe, how to use a spade, how to use, you can say, whatever, shovel, how to use grinder, how to use whatever is there, hacksaw, how to use saw, how to use electric saw, how to, means whatever you use, how to keep your hands safe, how to keep yourself safe, how to use PPEs, all these, how to handle with fire, how to handle the electricity, how to think of how to work, how to keep your electrical work safe. All these, and how you have to stay on site, means higher temperature or lower temperature, or how much water you have to drink. All these sometimes come in toolbox stocks, which depends on activity and everyday activity and also weather conditions, all that. So it is very general toolbox stock, and every day it is duty of every in charge at all levels of line management or organization that they should conduct this toolbox just for 5 to 10 minutes every day. You cannot say it will waste time. It will save time because every day you have to remind. I don't say that they do not know. Workers know. Everybody knows, but ignorance and carelessness and worry to produce something very fast. Otherwise, my boss won't be happy. That point should not come into obstruction. Then you can say process involving a particular safety risk shall be calculated by conducting job hazard assessment and necessary protective measures adopted to address risk issues. Sometimes there are some processes which people are not well known of, or they are not clear about that. Then we may not be clear. We also may be many of skilled like ourselves, not kill us. We have to think on that. We have to understand that, or if required, you can just conduct mock of that. What risk is involved in case we are unable to analyze that, and we should know what can happen, what can this activity lead to, and if it lead to that, we discover that there's a risk involved. We have to understand degree of that risk, and then what protective measures we have to take. It is in many cases we have to take. There are so many activities, means every activity is like that. We can't particularly state one here, but it's everywhere. Then included measures should comply with real requirements, standard as accepted by industry, OSHA. According, everything is defined, so we have to refer to that, and if we find solution, that's okay, fine, we should adopt. All persons shall be imparted with job safety lessons. That's part of toolbox talks and training from time to time, record maintained. It's okay. Then now there are so many projects which are located in control areas, prohibited areas. We can't enter. So we have to comply with all safety standards of these areas before entering there and working there itself. And we must have permits about work from there, job permits, time-based permits. Then we have to follow every standard mentioned there. Only specifically approved mechanical equipment, third-party certified while locating the service shall be. So everybody knows that mechanical equipment also are very responsible for progress of work, and these are also responsible for accidents. Ignorance on mechanical equipment leads to accidents. Third-party certificate is just an assurance. Of course, it doesn't give any guarantee as well. We are using some third-party certificate, a party which has nothing to do with either of these parties in contact, but they issue certain certification independently, and that's required for purpose of program, for purpose of assurance that we have this certificate. This means our equipment is fit for that day use. I can't say for another day use. And for validity of that certification period, safety official ensure the persons being inducted on site well aware of adopting right, stable safety procedure to be implemented on site for activity concern. Okay. Now all persons available upon site shall wear jobs. Okay, PPE, that's okay. Wherever activities pertinent to farm work are involved, sustainable supporting systems shall be ensured sufficient adequate to transfer safely to all. Okay, right. Now PPE is concerned. This is very important point. The people are sometimes lazy, or it's too hot. They don't want to wear a safety helmet, or you can say they don't like some orals, but this is very important point. I have seen personally, I have witnessed, I have experienced that people don't like it. Some people, because sometimes even you can say waist belts or harnesses are not worn, because it's difficult for them to work efficiently. Now efficiency is one part of life, but life is another part of efficiency. If you lose life, means you lose efficiency, and if you do not lose life and work is even less, it's efficiency because you are safe. So be clear about PPEs, don't ignore them. People ignore them, I know, because of so many reasons. Somebody complains my health issue, somebody complains that, but don't take it that lightly. Wherever activities pertinent, farm work are involved, sustainable supporting system shall be ensured, sufficient adequately to transfer safely all imposed loads during preparatory working. Pouring concrete, which is major activity we are concerned with, and its farm work is very heavy activity, time consuming activity, very powerful activity. Supporting system is very much strong, should be strong, because all loads, actions coming out that from concrete and people must be transferred safely. So that's very important activity. It cannot be taken for granted. There must be, you can say, where activities pertinent farm work to support suspended slabs or other critical structures that may give rise to safety risk situation shall be required to be certified by third party, as I said before also, which may be either system vendor, engineer, or the one calculated properly. That's what I say. Just like we calculate permanent structure, we have to calculate this preparatory structure work also. Though it's temporary, it's only for purpose of concreting, but it can lead to fatal accidents. All people working, maybe 20, 25 people working on slab may fall. Be very careful. This is highest risk job, particularly slab job, not of column job. I'm saying slab job is very, very risky. It's like same thing as slab falls. We get news that this slab fell because journalists do not understand, and they say rather than saying shuttering open, a formwork open during construction. Well, however, now hoisting of prefabricated formwork sites shall be raised during using either tower crane or mobile crane involved. Avoiding manual shifting. Formwork is always very heavy. It may be timber formwork, it may be, you can say, planks formwork, it may be steel formwork. It's very heavy plates we have to shift with the hoist to locations of whatever must be. It's very difficult to take manually. Only alternative is use cranes, either tower crane or mobile crane. Tower crane still has some limitations that I can't take more than 1 ton sometimes at a tip, so possibly we use that, but 1 ton, of course, no plate is more than 1 ton, it's not possible. But even then, mobile crane is better because it can turn many plates together. Tower crane may take many plates together, but question comes of its capacity. But we have mobile cranes which are much more stronger than tower crane. So a bundle of or even group of plates can be lifted, provided it's properly tied up. Skilled, is what is stringed in, or can say slings in. Scaffolding systems shall be required to install all locations where works start, in addition to step ladders, working platforms, and access ladders. That's true. A scaffolding system shall be required to install all locations where works start. Scaffolding is very much powerful, very much supportive. It's temporary, but it is very important. Based on scaffolding safety stands. And step ladder, when I'm saying, you should understand what step ladder is. Not ladder alone. It is like, completely temporary stairs, if not staircase. I'm talking of very temporary stair. It can be of steel, it can be of timber, fly, and also working platforms where people stand and work, and access ladders on platforms. Means even on platforms there can be access ladder. It can be awareness. So scaffolding shall be very, very important item installed at all locations, and that scaffolding should also be analyzed if it can be, or even at random, means what force which stands coming, that force. Of course, pipes of scaffold are strong. I cannot say that not, but scaffolding system should be. There can be cracks in pipes. There can be in interlock system. There can be some other problems. So we have to be how old this scaffolding is. All these points must be clearly. Sometimes a single joint can fail and it can cause problem. Because the reinforcing parts shall also be fabricated in yard to avoid to an extent possible. Yes, that's right. Fabrication is not a problem. It should be in yard, except that that is cut to site. When it's cut to site, something else is very rare, maybe very rare in some cases of slabs, or in some case of some something like we are doing. So it's not means very common that you have to fabricate on site all thing. So we can raise all fabricated material to locations by using cranes, avoiding manual shifting, because steel cannot be taken piece by piece. General principle to shift as much material as possible. Rest pauses to, general principle to shift as much as material as possible using mechanical means should be adopted. So mechanical we are talking means manual shifting is not, it takes first of all more time, and you have to rise on step, so it takes a lot of time, and you can better use machine to save time of people, and that's the best thing. See, now during long moving activities, long moving means many days activities probably, Workers shall be allowed rest pauses in same day. When they are tired, it's hot, you cannot work for a couple of hours continuously. So maybe you work for some time, considerable time, and take 5 to 10 minutes rest pause to drink liquids or take tea or whatever, so that you are relieved, you are given release. It's important, they are all human beings. Drinking water shall be available on site, this out of question should be. Then dust storms shall not allow external work of whatever sort. So even though dust storms do happen, work is not allowed in that dust storm. It's not permissible because dust can enter your eyes, it can enter your nose, and that can affect your health. And of course, in dust also, when sky is dust laden, you cannot work, you cannot see anything. And that's the reason that dust storm shall not allow external works. Okay, internally there is limitation, you can do internal if it's work. Then high temperatures conditions shall not allow works in open to sky areas. High temperature is 40 degrees air temperature, 45 degrees air temperature, and maybe humidity high. So higher temperature means loss of energy of body. So act like concrete temperature is limited. Similarly, for working, temperature should be comfortable. And if there's so high temperature, then internally you may work, but in sun you cannot work because of sunstroke it could be. And we have to take, so better plan works accordingly, and you can use that sun time for rest, for lunch or some other purpose, so that at least you are not subject to sun heat. Then you can say no material shall be allowed to be shifted, mounted on worker's head. This is actually required, but still people do this because equipment are not available. That's only reason. But it cannot be excused. It's not allowed, should not be allowed. But people don't bother. Quarreling on site, of course, nobody would say quarreling is good. Everybody will oppose this. Then you can say no worker shall be allowed to play with equipment. Yes, you cannot play with equipment unless you know that, you are expert on that, or you are operator of that equipment. It can be machine, crane, it can be excavator, it can be whatever heavy machine, it can be truck, it can be vibrator even, or generator, or whatever, or tools. Means until you are expert on that, you are trained on that, no allowance should be given. So we can say quarreling on site not permitted, already said. Use of mobile phones by workers below foreman level, can't use mobile. This is, of course, you may say it's personal, but when you are on duty, you are on your shift, it is not personal because it diverts your attention. When you get a call or you are interested in mobile videos, you can't say, you should not say, and it doesn't work actually. We can say that at that time, that site shall, use of mobile is instructed not to be allowed except surprises, and you should stick on that because sometimes they talk on mobile and rise on scaffolding, or they stand in heights, talk, they ignore safety belt, and they can cause accident. There will be accidents using mobiles while they work in depth or they rise on high rise. So don't create it. You use them at lunchtime, use them, they are free. But on work, you have as worker no right to use. And if there's an emergency, your foreman should help you rather than something else. You can give a foreman mobile to someone. If there's an emergency, you can take help of foreman, or foreman shall give you help. Site shall not be kept in untidy conditions by regularly removing all debris, garbage, and unrequired materials or redundant materials. So that's very common. Site should be clear of all these obstructions. No concrete transit mixture trailering concrete on site shall be allowed to wash. That's also regarding environment. We cannot deliver wastage on site. Material shall be stocked on site areas if so required. No say to that. Yes, material shall be stocked, but in a way that circulation areas are not adversely impacted or affected. That's basic requirement. No electrical cables shall be laid exposed and no domestic fittings be used. Yes, electrical cables, if these are exposed on ground, people can fall, can stumble. So this should be concealed in ground or whatever way. And all this fitting linked, this wiring should be industrial, not domestic. Qualified electrician must be on job all hours for look after and maintenance. That's very common. Everybody cannot work on electric system until you are well known, you have a license, or you can say as in case of mishap or accident, it's significant to ensure that victim is immediately imparted treatment of first aid and then transport to the hospital for medical center as convenient. No untagged scaffolding or ladder can be used until it's proven it's certified or is tagged in by safety officer. All vehicles be parked only vehicles parked in area and safety zone where people are working. Hand hut must be used. No smoke and toilets are provided. Then on facilities, big projects, you can say construction projects, emergencies procedures shall be explained to all concerned personnel to resort to actions as and when certain site evacuation requirement arises. All personnel shall be transported by suitable vehicles when joining and leaving shifts. First aid box shall be available at all significant locations with known first aider persons. So transportation must be provided to everybody to go safe and come safe, and also medical attention. So this is what important point in safety related to particular form work. And it's not simply I am saying it is like that. Means form work. This was a part of quality itself, because safety is also under quality. Quality is not simply what I understand. It means total quality system. When we say every system should have its quality, and safety must also have quality. We'll take care of safety in other talks as well. Now, form work system, form work. We call it form work. Now, basic form work supporting system shall be as designed and supplied by whoever, means company, organization, the experts in that, XYZ. Supplier of form work shall provide all design drawings for approval as well as for implementation for a project like suspended slab, or even for heavy walls or for heavy columns, means where you think pressure is more, you are not able to calculate stresses. Though engineers know all this, but system that's provided by supplier. Sometimes systems can be designed on site, used on site if it's not very big site, or this can be hired from, you can say, from expert organizations who are professionally form work oriented. So when we say you hire it from market, it doesn't mean you hire manually. You hire based on designs, columns, walls, slabs. Every shuttering can be designed, every form can be designed. It's not a big deal. It's designed based on fluidity of concrete, because concrete is fluid but not like water. So we have to see what percentage of its horizontal pressure on bending moment that are imposed on, to what level these are required to be digested by system or registered by system that you provide, and how to calculate, you can say, resistance of that system, so that bending moment can be compared to that. Bending or horizontal forces can be compared to that. That's purpose of, form work suppliers work, because it's that material, and very smart form works are available these days with, of course, computerized system to tell what this is, how much force this can, how much resistance this can system can take. So supplier of formwork shall provide all drawings for approval, as well as for implementation, include direct load, bending moment, shear force, deflection, everything. Additional bracing and support props shall be added by civil contractor. Additional bracing and support shall be added by civil contractor on in compliance with formwork design provided by vendor supplier. Surface forming materials such as piles, timber, scantlings, etc. shall be added by civil contractors. So these are very now supplies means we can say system contractors. This proprietary contractor gives system, but supply is very general, 18 mm, 20 mm. For can the slab up to 25 centimeter, 30 centimeter. But slabs goes increasing thickness, and maybe have two different system. Maybe more thicker units you have to use, or steel plates you have to use, or we have to use something like that which can resist, or we have to reduce spacing of our system, supporting system, which is generally coupled ends 2.4 into 1.2 meters. It can be 2.4 or it can be 1.2 by 1.2, like or more. Surface forming materials such as plies and timber scantlings shall be added by civil contractor upon completion of suspended slab formwork system, particularly then civil contractor shall check and confirm adequacy of system. If so required, whole formwork shall then be checked by supplier's expert, and adequacy certificate be obtained by third. This is called third party. Now, sketch 61, 61, 64 to just indicative. Now that's what I like to find now. I don't know. Let me see if the sketch I can find this. There's also something very important in this case. Let us see in this is, let me see safety one now. This other one. This is 60, 61A. Let me see where it is. This method statements should be method statements. Let me see how to place some codes and method statements, chapters and sketches, method sketches, and this are that. So sketch number I can say it is saying 61, 61A, 61B, 64A, 20. So 20 is same, well, completely out. So 61I first. Let me see 61. 61 is here. Let us see how 61 is. 61. This is 61 open. I'm opening. This is okay. This is central control building. Okay, this is building area. Fine. This is a building design. We'll see how this works. Corners you can see, and then we go to another one, and that is 61A. Let me see 61A. 61A. This is the plan again for. This is regarding slab support system. Okay, slab support system. And we go to 61B and 64A. 61B also I think similar. Okay, this is also similar. We'll see how it works. Okay, this is okay. Then we go to 64. 61A, 61B it was, I think. 61B, right? It may be 61B, then 64A and 20. It's 61B, I think it's 61B, right? It is 61B, okay. 64, then we say 64A and 20. So 64A, let us say 64A. Alright, this is left, I think, yes. And then we can say 20. 20 is plant, I think. It's nothing more than that. 20 is plant. So you know that. We have seen many times. This we have seen many times. I just keep it for that, but it's not necessary to keep all that. So we'll take this whole plant, I close it. Need will open again. Close it just for now. Let's see what it says. What this big, This is surveyor shall set out markings, check lines and labels to establish correct position. Wall starter point shall be installed. Okay, let us discuss this first, because now this is, you can say, let me go back and do it again, because this review is different one. Let us go to clockwise and then we go to clockwise. Now this is central control building area, which is 80 meters by 80 meters, good one. And certain blast doors, RCC columns at grid crossings, grids 5 meter, columns 50-50, peripheral RC blast walls, RC suspended roof slab, raft foundation, then blast doors. All why I was actually concerned is this. Here, see this one. This is standard of, this is elevation system supporting framing typical. So this is framing typical here, how is that? This is a wall. Moving from typical here, this is slab here, and this is framing here. We'll see also. This is pour platform, RCC wall formwork system, site fabricated. '61, okay. And go to other one, that is, this is again I say wave the size and counterclockwise, and this is this is slab support system framing typical. So this is more better than that one. All right, we'll go then to other one, and that's this one, which is here you can see this is a platform, working platform in details, that it's say left, I think it's left. Okay. We have these practical diagrams of sketches. What actually is said here? Says surveyor shall set out markings, okay, that's fine, check line and labels to establish correct position. Wall starter balls shall be installed and placed in accordance with IFC drawings. Foundations, for foundations, kicker to base of wall, kicker is used but not essential. Kicker to base of wall section shall be planned to be cast along with foundation. A vertical and horizontal reinforcement walls shall be installed according to IFC drawings, and QC inspection shall be conducted to ensure reinforcement has been placed correctly. Where service inserts, very important part. Where service inserts, duct pipes, etc. are shown on IFC drawings, these shall be securely located, installed as well as checked. A continuity testing of reinforcement for cathodic protection reinforcement requirement shall be conducted and test results be recorded if there is cathodic protection in design. You can say continuity testing or reinforcement, then connection bosses shall be fixed as detailed on approved drawings. One side of formwork shall be erected and base braced. Sorry, it's happening gastric to me. I'm sorry. One side of formwork shall be erected and braced. This is connection bosses I'm talking when if it is cathodic protection. Where continued test of reinforcement for cathodic protection, then connection bosses in the case of non-critical cathodic protection. Connection bosses shall be fixed as detailed on approved drawings. On one side of formwork shall be erected and braced. A safe means of stepped access. A safe means of stepped access to working platform as well as required working platform shall be erected for this formwork. This access shall allow steel fixers, carpenters, and concrete crew a safe passage working area. All service openings shall be boxed for blockouts. Service openings shall be boxed for blockouts. Ducts ducted onto formwork. Height and width of wall section shall be agreed with EPC contractor engineer. Wall height. See, these people don't understand. Somebody is talking, somebody is working. They just want to call for what this is stupid people. I can't say. Wall height shall terminate near underside of roof slab, where remaining top part of wall can be cast along with roof slab. Just interfering for nothing. These people, I don't know how to handle such people. They are interested in themselves only, and not what's purpose of that. I don't know. I don't understand their purpose. Means disturbing, and sometimes videos broken because of that. Unfortunately, it is. Well, I don't think they have any question. If they have question, I will be happy. But they just want to talk for what? I don't know. I disturb unlearn nothing, What I say, what I was saying, I forgot, unfortunately. Wall height shall terminate near underside of roof slab, where remaining top part of wall can be cast along with roof slab. What I said, that all service openings shall be boxed for blockout, ducted onto formwork. Height and width of the wall section shall be agreed with EPC contractor engineer. Wall height shall terminate near underside of roof slab, where remaining top part of wall can be cast along with roof slab. Wall shall be prepared and cast in sections not exceeding 6 meter length. Okay, where a construction and or contraction joint would be formed using plywood. QC inspections shall be conducted, ensuring all IT requirement. After all inspections of preparatory works, concrete pouring activity shall be carried out in lifts not more than 450 mm layers. This concrete surface at joint location shall be scabbled prior to next section is formed. Where applicable, laboratory portion, outer wall form shall be erected with profile strips prefixed to formwork. Remaining wall form shall be erected and braced, a safe means of access to a working platform as well as safe working platform shall be erected for this formwork. This is working area. Surveyor shall check alignment of wall. Preparatory works shall be checked by site engineer, who then request QC for inspection. QC inspection shall be conducted to ensure all preparatory works carried out meeting QC requirements and ready to be poured concrete into form. Finished reinforcement and formwork configuration shall be inspected on an ongoing basis by civil contractors. QC department, who in turn obtain concrete pouring permission from EPC contractor engineer. Having obtained approval, structural concrete shall be poured by pumping into approved procedure. Curing shall be carried out in line according to specific requirement. So let us see what actually we have diagrams for this, drawings for. This is here a building, and this is what is given here. System support framing, typical, how to support frame, that's typical. And also it is a working platform, RCC wall formwork, system site fabricated of course, and Here it is. If you see details of this, this is for a slab. You can see, if you can just blow it up and you can see here. This is where, here it is. And this is standard prop. All dimensions plan, standard props. This is 1, 2, 1, 2, like this. And here you can say, here this is beam, this is slab, this is beam, and this is supporting system for these props. This is slab, it's vertical support with ply, and this is a bolt here, tie bolt. This is a support here for beam, and this is here for spacing of this slab. Stuffner, this is, you can say, this is a prop, batten, beam form, typical type bolts. So this is general, you can say, it's about 8 meters. It's not even general because height is more. And this is base plate here, base plate for these base plates. So prop, stiffener, beam form, typical type bolt. This is batten here, it's plywood here, and suspended slab like this. So this is plan of that one. And go to solution, elevation, slab support system, framing, typical for proprietary cup lock system. It is cup lock system. And go to another sketch. Cup lock, I mean to say, this system like this, say example is this 2.4 meter. This is 1.2, like this is completely done. And you see in dimensions here, it's like that. Say 1.2, 1.2, 1.2, and this the longitude. If you see this way, it's that one. So you can go to other one that is say here. It's now for something. It's a plan of wall. There is a thickness here. Tie rods. This is basically one. You can say. You can simply say here. Let's blow it up. You can see this wall, plywood 20 mm, battens 50-75. And this port platforms, jack supports here. This support and this support are supposed to keep, wall intact. It's only 4 meter here, but this support is intact support, and this support is resultant support. That's the important one. H/3, F/3. This is resultant force here. This is another kind of support. So you can say this, you have to go up here for working on this. That working is required for port platform. You can say port platform, jack supports, and jack supports also here. 60 tie bolts are here at every level, you can see. Then 0.5 to 1 centimeters. Here RCC wall formwork system, site fabricated. And if you go then further on to this, you will find a lift. I explained to you many times. Very complicated lift because walls are here. So you can say, if the RCC lift well, it's very complicated. Complicated in the sense that this is closed circuit, closed plan. This is closed plan here, you can see. Except this door, which you have to put another shutter. This is door shutter, because in this portion of door there should be no concrete. And this door shutter plan and this elevation of fixing and closing from here. So up to here you have to concrete in door height, and then you have to do full concrete. And these are elevations for sides B and A. This is B and this is A, and something the side. And you can say this is doors details. And here is pit. This is lift. This is port platform inside. You prepare here in this portion. Lift wall. And this is lift pit. So how many shutting walls? 1, 2, 3, 4, but combined together. Then fifth here, of course. If you see how many sides you have to do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and then to 10, and then like this. Means you can say many sides you have to in this case. That's what was important in that. And if you go now, what we have done there in this case. I mean, like I'm not like to pull it that much today because I think you understand these sketches very well sketches, you can say. You will understand very well these sketches. Let's see now what we're talking of. I talked this in this case. Yes, we have to speak here again for purpose of explanation some points that we have to do all these stages, but important point is here that I want to explain, and this is about cathodic protection and also this layer of 450 mm. Do you know what is cathodic protection? Cathodic protection is installed on industrial projects, on industrial works, because there are chances in those projects that oxidation happens because of working environment in those areas. Humidity, and humidity means water particles in suspension. Those, and also availability of chlorides in environment. Those chlorides can penetrate concrete itself. So therefore, we have to keep tight control on steel, particularly, that can cause accident. Now, why I'm saying cathodic protection? Because I have seen it. You want to keep steel reinforcement free of corrosion. So only point is provide anode in every steel group. Provide anode that is connected to cathode control center, and all oxidation that happens on your steel within concrete itself shall go to that, shall be withdrawn from there. And for that you have to provide some GI wire around this, along with C clamps. Those clamps. The point is that you should keep that steel free of corrosion. For that purpose, GI wire is used. GI wire with clamps, stainless steel clamps or steel clamps, and all bars should be covered. All bars, vertically, horizontally, all in that thick material, thick, massive product, thick, whatever structure is there. Continuity must be maintained, continuity of those bars. That's very important in critical case. In non-critical case, there are buses. Those buses can be fixed in. So generally for heavy foundations, critical system is used, and that is very efficient. This one point. And if you say no, we don't want this cathodic protection, then another answer is epoxy coated bars that can be used, but those in that case cathodic production cannot be, cathodic use cannot be allowed. So in general, those industrial projects are given provision of cathodic protection, critical and non-critical both, but where it is only in non-industrial projects like housing or in commercial buildings, in that lieu we can say that epoxy coating can be given. The steel that forces this cell to think again. Say 450 mm. 450 nozzle of internal vibrator which is used for concrete compaction, that should fully go in concrete, and length of that you have to check. If it is 400 or 300 mm or 500 mm, what's the length of that? And you have to go into that full layer length, layer thickness, and also in new layer you have to go interlocking that. So you have to be sure, means how can you vibrate that layer? That's important point here. Vibration of that layer. That's why saying 400 mm thick or 450 thick or where vibrator needle can move in. Vibrator needle has to go in and not your pipe shoot. That's an important point. Nozzle has to play, and depending on nozzle length we can decide layer, and also interlocking into previous layer. That's very important, which we cannot miss. So these points can be understood: corrosion controls and layer controls. And of course, you can say you can change whatever you want, and we can say how to do that. That's important point everywhere. Sometimes points work, sometimes they do not work. My purpose in this was closing this FIDEC one now. These diagrams which you are viewing on screen. Sorry, what's happening to me? I can close these also. I think these are not required now. I explained about them. So we are talking of this. You can say system. Remember, engineering is always serious.